A barrage of missiles has rained down on both western and southern parts of Ukraine overnight. And US President Joe Biden has just announced he will supply advanced air defence systems to help the country defend itself. Newshub Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer joins us now live from Kiev. Lisette, what are the latest developments? How many missile attacks have there been overnight?
Yes, as you said, Melissa, a second wave of attacks today on the back of the horror that unfolded here yesterday. These were focused mainly in Lviv and in the south in Zaporozhye. So in Lviv, which has often been described as a safe haven, the targets have absolutely been once again on the energy infrastructure. Putin and Russia are trying to cripple the energy grid, the power grid here in Ukraine, and make people as vulnerable and as isolated as possible. So there's been 3 major strikes on the energy infrastructure in Lviv. That has left 30% of the city without electricity once again. They were also cut off yesterday in those attacks. And again, further strikes in the south as well, and the southeast, which has been where a lot of the fighting has been in recent months, with the front line in the Far East there. So another incredibly unsettling day for Ukrainians. Kiev, where we are, hasn't had another missile strike. Fortunately, however, we did have sirens here this morning and throughout the day warning of a potential attack. And following the atrocities that took place here yesterday, people were very much heeding those warnings and getting to shelter when they heard those sirens.
And you've been to the site of one of these missile attacks. What is it like, and what's the feeling like in Kiev? People must be very nervous at the moment.
I have to say, Melissa, I think for me personally, on a personal level, this was one of the most confronting moments I have had in all of the trips that we have made here to Ukraine. We went to the strike site of one of the missile strikes near the playground, and it is central Kiev, a central city, capital city. And I think what struck me was just how relatable it was. It was a scenario that I could picture my nieces and nephews in Hamilton Gardens. It's a beautiful park here in Kiev. It's filled with beautiful flower beds. It's got this great playground where lots of children can have plenty of fun. And then 3 steps away is this ginormous crater. Ginormous. I'm tall, I'm 1.80 meters, and I could stand in the bottom of it and double me, and I wouldn't be able to see over the top. It is that deep. It is so wide. It is so confronting to see that harm could have been inflicted to innocent children who were playing just so close, so nearby. At the moment, it's a really peculiar feeling at that site. There are dozens of people gathering around and just looking at it. It is such a strange, almost attraction now in the centre of the city. A lot of people, I saw a couple of people laying flowers, but there were actually a lot of children running in and out of the crater, playing in it. And that alone seems so bizarre, because right next to it is a perfectly wonderful playground, but they're opting for this crater. Of course, children don't understand the full gravity of that situation yet, and for them it is just an exciting new attraction. But you could see the parents watching on. A lot of them had prams. I spoke to one mother who said her child had been on the playground the night before the attacks. This was their backyard. It was very, very common and very often that they would head down to this playground and have a swing, have a go on the slide. And then to see that out of nowhere, out of months of relative calm here in Kiev, there was this huge missile strike. It is obviously unsettling for everyone here in Kiev. But I will say this, the people that have stayed in this capital city throughout the last 8 months, they have experienced strikes. They obviously lived through those incredibly intense moments at the start of this war. They've stuck it out, so they're not going anywhere. They are defiant. They are almost, they've such a steely resolve against these attacks. And even yesterday, even with that such confronting and unexpected barrage, people are refusing to show Putin that there is any sort of fear. They are refusing to give him the satisfaction of them showing themselves to be scared. So just that ongoing remarkable defiance here in Kiev.
So sad that kids would even know what a missile strike is, though, at that that age, isn't it? G7 leaders have been meeting and we've had this announcement from Biden. What is the latest in terms of support that's been pledged?
Yeah, so the G7 leaders got together today, obviously with the primary focus of working out what they can do to help Ukraine. The President Zelensky was very clear that the most important thing they need at the moment is help defending in the skies. They need to create a shield in the skies so that these missiles cannot get in here. That is why Biden has pledged to provide these very advanced air defence systems that will help provide some of that support Zelensky so desperately is after. To put it into perspective, more than 100 missiles have been sent this way to Ukraine in just the last 48 hours. Today they managed to intercept 18 of the ones that were sent here today, and that obviously is a life-saving system that they can provide. So to have that extra support from the United States is absolutely critical. Obviously Ukraine is asking for more and more, and some of the other countries also pledging more support at the border in the NATO areas, neighbouring NATO countries, to offer that extra support so that Ukraine feels like that is there also offering another deterrent to Putin.
Newshub Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer with cameraman Dan Pennant live from Kiev this morning. Thanks for joining us.